Здравствуйте. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geopolitical Astrology. I am Vanessa Guazzelli, astrologer and psychoanalyst, and I am starting to do frequent videos on geopolitical astrology, this work that I've been developing and doing for some time now. So, what is this work? Geopolitical astrology is a term I've been using. I actually started this approach of applying the study of astrology to geopolitics, articulating the heavenly affairs and the worldly matters. And it is a different approach than what has been going on in how astrology has been approaching worldly affairs in general. The term used in traditional astrology since a long time has been mundane astrology. But the way astrology has been applied to the collective, it has been not only, well, there's then the astrology which is directed to personal charts, which is absolutely fine, which I do as well. But when applied to worldly affairs, the approach is very much neutral and not really articulating with geopolitics directly. So my work is actually about this articulation, really, in a pragmatic way. So this work has been focused, my work has been focused on the change of the world system, which is going on in the decade of 2020 with some major aspects. I've done some research that has included going really a long way, calculating some aspects to see how special are these aspects that we are having now. What's the story like? How big a cycle do they refer to? Because this does tell us about their significance. And I've gone a spectrum of like going into the past and a little bit ahead as well, like 3,000 years ahead and 7,000 years back. I actually went a little bit over 10,000 years, calculating to better understand some of these aspects. So this is a very serious work, and that takes a lot of study in geopolitics, a lot of study in astrology, with also my experience with psychoanalysis, because I am a psychoanalyst, I am a psychologist specialized in diagnosis and treatment of developmental disorders. I do have years of practice, and also years of practice as an astrologer, two different means of intervening, of conveying a work, and they enrich each other very much. And I am also very much interested in geopolitics, so it got to a point that I started to use the knowledge and experience applied to geopolitical affairs. So this is what this channel is about. Yes, it's a very unique work. It's a very unique combination. And I hope it can serve in a very interesting way for to contribute, in this great transition that we are experiencing, because we really are living interesting times in more than one sense of the expression. So this is what the channel is about. So I'll be doing, this is a brief introduction, but I'll be doing then once a week. That's how I'm gonna do it initially, at least. So once a week, videos directed to this articulation of geopolitical astrology. Okay, so yes, and then so this is the focus, is the change of the world system, and these are the absolutely major aspects of the decade, and how they articulate, and how they also articulate with some smaller aspects between them, and with smaller um, aspects that happen throughout the decade. Yeah, this is really telling the story of the change of the world system. What are the issues that come up? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And I've been speaking about it for some time. In 2020 was a moment that I've presented. I started to speak ahead of the whole mayhem of the pandemic. I did publish an article speaking of the transition of the world system ahead of that. And then in 2020 still, I did present this work in 3 different conferences, astrology conferences. But then from the presentation of these 3 astrology conferences in 3 different languages, I was interviewed then for Asia Times by Escobar, and that speaking, because I've been speaking about the change of the world system. And this work was then translated to different languages and published all over the place, and did really break ground. It was a groundbreaking move for astrology, because I even got at the time a message from an American colleague saying, like, I can't believe it. The word of an astrologer is actually being published not just in the comments, but actually being published in Zero Hedge and many other websites, geopolitical websites. And I am very honored to carry this work. I am very honored to be able to do this articulation. And it is with much joy that I bring this work to you. And also because this is a very serious time, and the challenges are great, are really, really tremendous. But we will prevail. We will prevail, and the change of the world system is inevitable. It is already taking place, and the multipolar world will prevail. Will prevail, and many interesting things are ahead of us as well, but through tremendous challenges, no doubt. So, and we have like this major aspect still ahead of us. And not just that, because it's not just about the aspect happening in 2026 and then, oh, it's all over and done with. No, of course not. Because even that 2026 aspect is actually going to extend. It has a development that I will explain in some video in the future, of course, in the near future, how this very aspect unfolds very strongly. Really, it extends until 2028. Okay, but that's a very crucial moment, February of 2026, when we have the exact conjunction between Saturn and Neptune at 0 Aries. I will be speaking more about that. You can be sure of it. So this is Pallas. She's one of the patronesses of this work. Pallas, there's an asteroid. She is present in the work of astrology as an asteroid that I very much appreciate. And I was very glad to see the other day here in Moscow in the Vdenha Museum, that with the planets, there's like there are panels with the planets, big ones with information about each of them. And Pluto is in there. He's not left out of the panels. He's very much present. I was glad to see that too. And also Pallas, precisely Pallas. The asteroid Pallas is included. I was very glad to see that because Pallas is the asteroid of geopolitics. She is the strategic advisor. She's the goddess of chess and the goddess of geopolitics. So, with Pallas's guidance as well, we'll be looking into the worldly affairs. And I am beginning this work in this moment that I am here in Russia, and that I came aware of the importance of this moment also when we are having the Venus black moon star point, because we had in August the exact, and it reverberates, especially this one, because of how it happened, the concentration that happened with also black moon Lilith, this also very important point that I have a deep study into. Black moon Lilith being in Leo, and then comes this Venus star point in conjunction to the black moon in Leo, and then Pallas also joins. So there's this great concentration that we had in August in Leo, marking the Venus star point, which is something also to be explained in more details of how this dynamic happens. Because it's really like a star is being drawn in space, and there are the points that mark the star, no? And we had one of these points in August. And because it was with Venus retrograde, we also had a petal being drawn. So there's a petal and a point in the 5-pointed star. So this was a very important moment. I was in July, when it was already applying, was active already. I was in St. Petersburg and I was present. I participated in the Russia-Africa Summit, which was amazing, was really, really interesting, very cool to be there, very interesting. And then I've been in Moscow during the BRICS Summit. So when President Putin didn't go, he stayed here. So let's say part of the BRICS Summit did happen in Moscow. So very glad to be here. Many things to share also in that regard about being in Russia and in this moment of the world. So in this movement, again, I've been called to start this work with the video, so that's what I'm doing now. And this is a very significant Venus star point. And we will also be watching like how it connects to the moments that will be unfolding ahead as well. And I must now present the 5 patronesses of this work that I've been doing. So Venus, we begin with Venus because we are talking about the Venus star. Pallas, that already introduced. Sarasvati, Hindu goddess. So these are 3 goddesses, and Venus is also a planet. And Pallas an asteroid, and Sarasvati is the deity of the studies and the arts. So she's very important here as well, because art is absolutely important to life as I see it. And it enriches our lives, and it enhances the beauty and significance of life, no doubt. And we also learn so much from it. It's also very enriching to the work to be able to articulate. So art is inevitably present in this work for its usefulness and for its beauty and enjoyment as well, for the very meaning of life that it brings. So there are these three goddesses and there are two empresses. So Catherine the Great of Russia and Empress Josephine, l'Impératrice Josephine of France. Josephine did bring she was a great advisor. I mean, Catherine the Great, no need for introduction, right? But we will be. I will be presenting them in more details. Okay, so I will do either one video just about the five patronesses, and if I see that it's too much for one video, I might do one for each. Let's see how it goes, but for sure, at least one presenting them all, if not one for each, okay? So, but then briefly saying that Empress Josephine was a very good advisor, geopolitical advisor. And although the term was not used at that time as we now use it, so, but she gave this one very good advice, which I'll tell in a minute. So let me just present the patronesses: Venus, Pallas, Sarasvati, Catherine the Great. This is a picture I took in St. Petersburg of her monument, and with her advisors around. Very interesting also to study like those people that she had around her, which included a woman, and l'Impératrice Joséphine. So Josephine, why do I bring her here at this point? She gave she was an advisor to Napoleon, the person actually that he listened to the most. And whilst listening to her, paying attention to her advices and their exchanges and conversations, and paying attention to her advices, he was victorious. The moment he stopped doing that, and by not listening to her advice, that was his downfall at the time. So, and what was that advice? Do not go to war against Russia. That was her advice. So we carry on this advice. So join me to dive into this adventure into this with me. Let's do this articulation and make good use of it. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.